What's up, Brady? This is Jude from Section 116, ArgosEndzone.com. Time for Week 12 action as the Argos host the Hamilton Ticats in the Labor Day Classic Rematch. As always, click the Show More button on the YouTube channel. Jump to the chapter you want to see. We got a lot to cover. We'll get started with a look back at what happened last week. Argos plays twice in Week 11, so we're going to start with a look at their home game against the BC Lions. This featured the return of Ricky Ray after missing 3 to 4 games with a knee ankle injury. A quick recap of the brief Logan Kilgore era. What we saw was a fantastic game on the road against Ottawa and an atrocious game at home against Winnipeg. To say the jury's still out is an understatement. But, again, back to the game. Ray came back, looked good. Opening drive, touchdown, fantastic. Now, that's, of course, what you expect from any team, as Scott Milovich is a great pregame scripter of the opening drive. Holding that BC defense under wraps is no small feat, and we saw that in the second half. Forgive me, I cannot remember the name of the player, but there was a blitzing outside player that was able to hurdle Brandon Whitaker, resulting in an interception by Solomon Elminian, who tied a team record for tackles in the game. I think he had, it was one double digits. It was crazy. But the crowd got loud. I don't want to go into moral victories at the halfway point of the season, but that crowd was loud. They got behind the defense, tried to urge them on. Saw one heck of an athletic maneuver by Ricky Foley on a play that got called back on an offside. But it was a fumble, kind of tip up to his hands, run back for what should have been a touchdown. Penalty brought it back. The Lions were able to keep the Argos offense in check, but Liam Haralalu was still getting points on drives. And the result was the Argos losing on the very last play of the game on a field goal. But again, I hate to talk about moral victories when you've got a team that we're all hoping is going to the Grey Cup. But that crowd got loud, and you could see that energy on the field as the defense was asking for it, and they were getting it. Anyways, going on to part 2, where the Argos traveled to Hamilton to face the Ticats in the Labor Day Classic. So what you had going in here was the Argos have never won at Tim Hortons Field against the Ticats, but they were undefeated on the road this season. So something's got to give. First half was fantastic. The Argos caused 3 or 4 turnovers with 24 points off those turnovers. They looked fantastic. Ricky Ray was able to move the ball on offense. Torrey Gurley with the 2 touchdown receptions. And Gordon with the great sack, fumble recovery, touchdown on defense. I'm enjoying his work right now. If this was the reason that they released Keon Raymond to give this guy more playing time, well, we might be seeing some results from that. But it really was the tale of 2 different games, as in the second half, Hamilton roared back, and it was just this wave after wave. Anybody ever watch The Replacements? It was the Gene Hackman, Keanu Reeves movie about the scab football players after a strike. There's a great moment in there when they're talking about fear. And Keanu Reeves' character says the fear is quicksand. You're playing the game. If I can find the link, I'm gonna attach it right here so you can watch it. It does a better justice than I do. But basically, that's what you saw as a fan, as an Argos fan in the second half, was the Argos just slipping into quicksand. Just no matter how hard they fought, they just kept sinking deeper and deeper. And Ricky Ray took some obscenely awful hits in that second half, as the blitz package was just more than the Argos offense could handle. And it turned into 2 interceptions as he was hit while he threw, and just took a beating. There was different reports about how actually his injury was going forward. I'll cover that as we go into the preview. But the Argos ended up dropping both games this week. What had an opportunity to be a big jump forward turned into a stumble back, and it's tough to see where we go from here. So Week 12 sees the return match from the Labor Day Classic. The Ticats have won both games against Toronto so far this season, meaning they own that season series and that tiebreaker. Another reason why that Labor Day Classic loss was so huge. So the Argos now have got to be able to try to distance themselves from Hamilton without playing Hamilton. Not a good scene. Coming into Toronto then to face the Argos, there's a lot of questions at quarterback for the Argos. As I said in the recap just before, Rick Gray took an absolute beating in that second half, and there were early reports of a punctured lung suffered in that game, causing him to miss the rest of the season. The Argos have reported that it is a collapsed lung, and he's still going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. Both are bad. I mean, you're talking about your freaking lungs. So I don't know what to expect for Ray down the road. But what we're going to see then is the third different starter at quarterback this week, with Dan LaFevour taking the starter snaps. For those of you not familiar with LaFevour, back up in Montreal and Hamilton, I believe. I've got a coworker at work that is really excited to see this because he's a fan of his work from Eastern Michigan way back when, where he was saying that he led them to a 16-ranked season, which, for those of you college football fans, that's a pretty big deal coming out of the MAC. What to expect? Well, he's had 1 week of starter snaps. And against that Hamilton defense, what to expect? One thing I'm going to point out real quickly is when the BC Lions had success against Hamilton, what they did was they kept more blockers back to stop that aggressive Orlando Steinhauer blitzing defense. So it might be a question of keeping a tight end in the formation and your running back in the backfield to just take up all those blockers to make an opportunity for your wideouts on man-to-man coverage to the outside. The other thing you've always got to be aware of when you're facing Hamilton is Jeff Reinbold, special teams coordinator for the Ticats, loves to run play fakes out of any punting situation. So, and if it's going to be as windy, I have no idea what the weather is going to be like. If it's going to be as windy as we saw against BC, keep an eye out for them to line up somebody onside behind the punter, looking to recover a shortened punt by wind. Argos are going to be very, very aware of what that special teams, that third facet of the game, is going to influence here. Again, on the Argos side of the ball, they got to make sure that every drive results in points, because you know Hamilton is going to put points on the board, which means get in position for field goals attempts and have Hiro Lalu continue his success that you've seen this season. On offense, again, when you got LaFevour behind center, you've got to be aware of John Chick, and you got to keep an eye on Samori Lawrence. Again, there's just too many. That Hamilton team is really talented, and it's really easy to overthink your game plan trying to stop these key points and get away from what you're capable of doing. The success of the Argos offense this year has been the 2-3-step drop, quick pass outs. So you got to see that. I'm going to think you're going to see that coming again. That blitzing defense, you have two options then. You've either got to stop that blitz from coming with more people back, or you've got to take advantage of that blitzing defense with short, quick screens, outs, and sweep plays. Counters work well too, potentially work well. When the Argos are on defense, Zach Collaros with the Ticats quarterback is arguably one of the best players in the league, if not the best. And if you give him time to throw, he's going to burn you. But he's also very elusive, being able to extend plays with his legs. And you can't focus on the passing game because C.J. Gable, their running back, I believe had 100 yards against the Argos there last week. When he starts to roll, it's nasty because he's so physical, but there's also another aspect you got to worry about when you don't have the ball. Their receiving core, we all know about what Luke Tasker can do. Tolliver has stepped up in a big way. We're all fans of the Flying Hawaiian Chad Owens, even though he's wearing the wrong uniform. And when they start flipping in Brandon Banks, that kid is dangerous. Again, another special team situation is being able to try to contain him. I always have my old high school football coach echoing in my head whenever I see him return, where it's stay in your lanes, turn the play inside where you've got more support rather than letting him get outside and run. Again, this is just one silly, bleacher coach trying to yell and tell pros what to do. What I'm saying is that this game is going to be a challenge. You combine that with it being almost like a home game for Hamilton because the Ticat fans travel. Argos have got their work cut out for them on the field and in the stands. Guys, you're going to keep an eye on this week. On defense, I'm going to start with number 39, Matt Black. He's the kind of defensive quarterback, playing that deep safety route, being able to read the play, calling out on the matchups in terms of what might be coming the other way. What we saw with Hamilton last week was, again, that running game started to create that opportunity to push forward leaving the opportunity in behind the Argos defense for deep plays. And there was some miscommunication it was Tolliver, I believe, had the deep corner route that caught the touchdown, where there was a lot of defenders looking at each other saying, I thought that was your man. So you really can't make any mistakes against Hamilton. So I'm looking at Matt Black in terms of controlling that defensive secondary, making sure everybody's where they need to be, and finishing the hits whenever somebody tries to run or it's a short pass underneath. On offense, it's really easy to say Dan LaFevour, but I'm going to look at Brandon Whitaker because, quite frankly, his success will lead to the success of the Argos offense, whether it is running the ball, catching passes out of the backfield, or picking up those blitzes. All three of those facets are going to be huge in trying to stop that Hamilton defense and move the ball down the field. As far as Whitaker goes, is where the Argos are going to go on offense. So when they have the ball, number 3, Brandon Whitaker, and when they don't have the ball, number 39, Matt Black. This week's prediction, again, I always refer to the CFL.ca website to see what teams have scored and allowed. Putting those together, you're looking at a Hamilton 31-27 win. I'm never picking against the Argos, and there's no way I'm taking the Ticats ever. So the challenge, of course, we're dealing with is LaFevour's first start with the Argos, so you don't know what to expect from that offense. Hopefully that plays to their advantage in terms of Hamilton doesn't know what to expect from them. But, I mean, like I said before, we may be at the point in the season where we're looking at moral victories, where you're going to be able to keep it close and keep the fans entertained and just hope for a win. Oh, my goodness, I hate even verbalizing that. But especially the way things have gone at this point with these two teams, that might be what we're looking for right here, is to keep it close. I'm still picking an Argos win, of course, because I'm a diehard Double Blue fan and will never vote against them. But in terms of a score, I think that Argos' only hope is to try to keep the score low because they're not going to win a shootout with this team. So I'm picking a 17-14 win. You can hear the confidence in my voice when I pick that win, when I pick that score. They're 1-5 at home, guys. That'll wrap things up for another week here. Hope you had some fun. As always, like, comment, share this video, and we will continue to evolve the channel. Hasn't evolved much lately, has it? Well, hey, you're not making any comments. Follow us on our social media feeds, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Continue to try to post stuff as frequently as we can. Twitter is probably the most effective, especially during game days. Keep an eye out as the boss has got his thumbs working hard there to keep you entertained and informed. He is informative. It's a 4 o'clock start. It's going to be a beautiful afternoon there. I think the C&E's finally done, so traffic should be a lot easier to get through. And hey, let's face it, Ticat fans travel really, really well, and they're incredibly obnoxious. So more Double Blue means less of them, and that's going to be a good thing. If you're looking for a pregame spot, TSN's Kate Burness has got tickets to the game. She will be in Liberty Village. I think it's called Local. The bar is called Local. You can go check it out there. In terms of pregame, also make sure you get your non-perishable food item because this is Pure Layer Tackle Hunger game for the Toronto Argonauts as a CFL promotion to try to tackle hunger in these areas. So their goal is to, I believe, collect 1 million pounds of food this year. So make sure you grab your non-perishable before you head to the game, drop in a bucket, or they will take cash because, hey, that's a tool that helps people as well. So whatever it takes, let's help these folks out here and make sure everybody understands that the Toronto Argonauts fans are as supportive as any other team in the CFL. Again, 4 o'clock start. If you can't be there, I'd love to see you there because that crowd's going to be loud both ways, which creates a much more entertaining atmosphere. But otherwise, be in front of your TV, making some noise, and hey, let's have some fun, right? So until next time, this is Jude from Section 116 at ArgosEnzo.com, reminding you that we ride the rail and we ride hard.